Today I will discuss about the therapeutic means. What is the diet for the enteral nutrition, parenteral nutrition, and what is the major nutrient which is required for the management of your AIDS, AIDS, AIDS. What do you mean by AIDS? Yesterday I already discussed about this. What 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 do you mean by AIDS?
Ma'am, acute immunodeficiency syndrome.
Very good. In that case, now it is the state of HIV infection where the CD4 level cell count will be of 200 or less than that of the 200. And in that case, the wasting syndrome is very prominent. All the starting from the muscles wasting to everywhere, you will got the wasting syndrome or the malignant disease. Okay, it's very prominent in if the patient is affected by the AIDS. Okay. All of you understood?
Yes, ma'am.
And what do you mean by cachexia? What is cachexia? What is the meaning of cachexia? Cachexia is nothing. Cachexia means it's the general weight loss. Okay. Weight loss, due to the weight loss, it causes the muscle wasting and a reduction in the vitality of the body and the mind. That is called as the cachexia. Reduction in the vitality of the body and the mind, it is called as the cachexia. What do you mean by candidiasis? What do you mean by candidiasis? Arpita? Arpita, are you there? Cachexia is the general weight loss, wasting and reduction in the vitality of the body and mind is the cachexia. That is candidiasis. Candidiasis is the disease, and this is mainly caused by the species of the yeast, like the fungus infection. Due to the candidiasis infection, it mainly affect your nails and the skin. That is called as candidiasis. Okay. आपण माने देखिथिबे हातर साइड रे धळा धळा हेकी नख साइड रे धळा धळा हेतिबो किबा चुटी साइड रे मध्ये हेतिबो किबा स्किन रे टिके टिके जस्ट माने स्किन छाडिला भलिया व्हाइट व्हाइट लाइक इन्फेक्शन हेके हेते ड्यू टू द candidiasis infection. Mainly candidiasis is one type of fungal infection is there. Due to that fungal infection mainly affected the skin and the skin fold area and in the nail also, nail beds. That is called as the candidiasis. What is lymphadenopathy? Lymphadenopathy. What do you mean by lymphadenopathy? What do you mean by lymphadenopathy? Don't know? What do you mean by lymph?
Bacterial infection.
What do you mean by lymph? I don't know what is lymph. In our body, lymph node is there. No? In every type of infection, that lymph node will be swollen. Yes or no? Due to the any kind of bacterial or the viral infection, the lymph node will be becomes very swollen, and the patient may be affected by the acute fever or the chronic fever. And in any case of the any kind of viral infection, all the lymph gland will be swollen. And lymph gland is nothing, is the clean water of the body. It's a one type of gland. What is lymphadenopathy? Lymphadenopathy is the swollen or the firm and sometimes it's tender, hardness, lymph nodes secondary to any numbers of causes and mainly ranging from the infection to the cancer. That is called as the lymphadenopathy. Okay, it is called as the lymphadenopathy. What do you mean by myalgia? Yesterday I already discussed about the myalgia. What is the meaning of myalgia? Myalgia is nothing
Muscle pain.
yes, myalgia means gia refers to pain. Maya
Muscle
means
pain.
muscular pain, mainly diffuse muscles pain, and that is accompanied by the malaise. Malaise, vague feeling of discomfort or the weakness also. What is malignant cancer? Cancer is mainly two types. One is the benign cancer, another one is the malignant cancer. What do you mean by that malignant cancer? Actually, in the benign tumor, in the benign cancer, it is not causes any, it is not dangerous also. That is the benign tumor or benign carcinoma. That cancer will be not spread very easily from one part of the body to the other parts. If that benign tumor or benign carcinoma will be occur in the one part of the body, then it will be not spread to the other parts of the body. If benign tumor is present in our bone, it will not very easily spread to the other parts of the other organ of the body. But if the body is affected by the malignant cancer, malignant carcinoma, then that carcinoma may be spread to the other parts of the body very easily. That is called as the malignancy carcinoma or malignancy cancer. Understood? What is benign and what is malignant?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yesterday I already discussed about the energy requirement of the that AIDS patient and what is the protein per day. The requirement of the protein is for the maintenance of your HIV patient or AIDS patient, you have to provide 1.5 to 2.02 gram of protein per day. If the patient will be dependent on the one, if you, earlier if the patient will be take 1 gram or 1.5 gram of protein per day, but after the affected of the this AIDS, now you have to increase the protein content because this protein will be help the patient for the easy recovery from the this infection. And specifically protein restriction is recommended only in the person those you are having the problem of the any kind of kidney disorder, or if someone will be affected by the any kind of liver disorder. In these two cases only you will restrict the protein. Otherwise, unless until affected by the these two major complication, the patient can, you can provide very um, easily, you can administer 1.5 to 2 gram of protein per kg body weight. And also fat is highly essential for the management of your HIV patient, and you have to provide the fat in the form of the MCT form. What is MCT? MCT is nothing. MCT is the medium chain triglycerides oil, is mainly better than that of the long chain triglycerides, best supplement for the decreasing stool fats. And also this MCT form of these fats is very good for the what, stool nitrogen content, and in also reducing the number of the bowel movements, because in the AIDS patient they are having the very loose motion, maximum they are having the complication of diarrhea. And for the management of that one also you have to give the MCT form of fat, and specifically fish oil, because this fish oil is contains the omega-3 fatty acid. When given with the MCT oil, may improve the immune functions also, because this combination is very less inflammation promoting than the usual omega-6 fatty acid. Okay. And fluid electrolyte is also very much essential for the management of your what, management of your cancer. AIDS patient. That's why in regular basis you have to administer rich sources of vitamins, minerals, and also you have to include in their diets excess amount of fluids and the electrolyte. Specifically in the diet, you have to include rich sources of sodium, potassium, and the chloride. In the presence of vomiting and diarrhea, it is highly required, because if we will be not provide sodium, potassium, and the chloride, there will be the electrolyte imbalance will be there. Not only sodium, potassium, and chloride is required for the management of your AIDS patient, but also in the diet you have to administer very good sources of vitamins and the minerals, because in your diet you have to include the micronutrient and the macronutrient. Beta carotene, vitamin E also is highly essential, and ascorbic acid, vitamin B12, vitamin B6, folic acid is highly recommended. Okay, and this is all about your dietary management of your AIDS patient. Okay, and if some AIDS patient they are having the nausea, you have to, for the management of the nausea, you have to administer mainly, you have to include some small frequent meals and avoidance of the high fat or the greasy food or the cool or room temperature foods. Okay, and those maximum patient of the AIDS patient, they are having the gerostomia. Gerostomia. What do you mean by gerostomia? Gerostomia means, gerostomia is nothing. Gerostomia is the dry mouth. Okay, means dryness of the mouth. It is called as the gerostomia. And in that gerostomia, the consumption of the liquid at the meal times and the extra fluid is very highly essential. You have to increase the water content of the body. Okay, and those who are having the diarrhea, for the management of AIDS diarrhea, you have to include fluid and the electrolyte, and low insoluble, high soluble fiber diet, and you also give some low lactose, low fat diet also. This is all about your HIV or the AIDS. How will we manage this HIV or AIDS through the diet? Okay. Now I will discuss about the what is the medical nutrition therapy in the critical care. Okay, critical care nutrition or medical nutrition therapy for the ICU patient. Mainly, specifically, the special feeding methods in the nutritional support. The those who are unable to take the food through the orally, or if they will be severely having the problem of the any kind of complication after the surgery or after the any kind of accident, the patient will be depend upon the ICU nutrition, and for the enteral feeding, because they are not able to take the food through the orally. And what is that enteral nutrition and what is that parenteral nutrition? What do you mean by enteral nutrition and what do you mean by the parenteral nutrition? And in the enteral nutrition and parenteral nutrition, what we will be used, and which means the time period of this enteral feeding, and the totally calorie, protein, and fat requirement of your that enteral feeding. What is that enteral feeding? Mainly those who are having the very severe critical ill patient, and if if they will be in a hospitalized patient, with the malnutrition, mainly malnutrition. Those are the malnutrition means they are the having the deficiency of the both macronutrient and the micronutrient deficiency is there, and they suffer from the increased infection also. Due to the deficiency of the micro and the macronutrient, the infection rate will be increases, and they will the morbidity, and the patient will be hospitalized and prolonged hospital stay period also, and it also increase the mortality rate. Okay, and those hospitalized medical and the surgical patient without antecedent malnutrition are typically subjected to stress and infection and impaired organ function also, resulting in a hypercatabolic state. If the patient is having the malnourished during the hospital stay, if the patient is critical ill, in that case, what will happen? Specifically, they are very malnourished, and they are in the very hypercatabolic state. Okay, in that case, na mainly these patients are mainly unable to meet their calorie needs. If the in that period na, the patient will be need very high calorie, high good sources of protein, fat, and other macro and micronutrient, but during the staying of the hospital period they are lacking of all these things, and they are either too sick or physically unable to ingest the food also. For that type of critical ill patient, mainly present with the extreme degree of metabolic disarrangement, and mainly in protein and energy metabolism also characterized by the increased protein breakdown. Okay, after prolonged after staying after prolonged hospital stay na, at that time their protein breakdown will be increases, and the energy requirement of the body will be also increases at that period. And in this period we have to, in addition to, there are also extreme degree of glucose and lipid intolerance. Okay, and nutrition support is because the routine part of the critical ill patient. If in that particular time, if we will be not provide the enough nutrient, proper nutrient, then the body will be easily, it will be not recovery from the disorder. The condition of the patient will be deteriorate day by day. That's why the critical ill patient, they highly require the well nutrition plan. Okay, and the main goal of the nutrition support mainly includes the improve the nutritional assessment indices, and you have to prevent the single and multiple nutrient deficiency also, and promote organ integrity and the functions also, and favorable effect the disease process, and positively influence the patient outcome also. Okay, and specifically for the ICU patient, those who are in the very critical ill patient, you have to provide 50 to 70 kilocalorie per kg body weight. But earlier, while in the Bendit equation test, I already informed you that generally we have to provide 20 to 25 kilocalorie per kg body weight is recommended. But if a patient is in the hospitalized and if the patient is critically ill, at that time you have to increase the calorie requirement, and you have to provide 70 kilocalorie per kg body weight per day is indicated. Understood? All of you understood what I'm saying?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
ନା କିଛି difficult ହଉଛି ବୁଝିପାରେ?
No, ma'am.
ଅର୍ପିତା ବୁଝି ହଉଛି ନା ନାହିଁ?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
ଓକେ ଓକେ, ଯଦି କାହାକୁ କିଛି ପ୍ରୋବ୍ଲେମ ହଉଛି ଦେନ୍ ମତେ ନିହାତି ରୂପେ ଇନଫର୍ମ କରିବେ, ମୁଁ ବା ପଚାରିବେ, ମଝିରେ ପଚାରିଲେ ମୁଁ ଜାଣିବି ଏଇଟା ବୁଝିହଉନି, ତ ଚେଷ୍ଟା କରିବି ଡାଉଟ୍ କ୍ଲିୟର କରିବା ପାଇଁ। ଓକେ
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
okay, and this is your the calorie requirement for the critical ill patient. And while you are formulating the any kind of rice to feeding or enteral feeding now, at that time 1 ml of that fluid should be contain 1 kilocalorie, and the protein should be 15 to 20% of the total daily calories required administered as the protein or the amino acid. Mainly whatever you are providing to the patient na, that protein requirement should be 15 to 20%. Okay, And the specifically protein, you have to provide 1.2 to 1.5 of gram of per kg body weight of protein. And 60 to 70% of the totally calorie you have to provide from the carb only, carbohydrate. And 25 to 30% of total calorie can be given as the fat only. Okay, this is all about the total calorie requirement of the fat requirement. The carb requirement is you have to provide 60 to 70%, and the fat requirement you have to provide 25 to 30%, and the protein requirement of that critical ill patient is 1.2 to 1.5 gram of protein is highly required. Okay, and mainly the fat which you will be provide for the critical ill patient, you have to provide the omega 6 polyunsaturated fatty acid, that is the PUFA form. You have to provide the PUFA form of the fatty acids. That means it's very good sources of fat, and it is also and the triglycerides to prevent the essential fatty acid deficiency. If we will give the very good sources of fat like the omega 6 PUFA form of fatty acid, it will prevent the essential fatty acid deficiency. If we will be recommend to take that MUFA form, monounsaturated fatty acid, then it will be causes the deficiency of the essential fatty acid in our body. That's why in the critical ill patient, you have to recommend the very good sources of fat is highly required, and that sources of fat you should be from the omega 6 fatty acids, and that in the form of the PUFA only you have to include. And in for them also, for the critical ill patient, while you are formulating the any types of parenteral or the enteral nutrition, you have to focus on the different types of micronutrient, because at the hospital staying period the body will be body requires highly the micronutrient, and the example of the micronutrient are the magnesium, iron, copper, zinc, and the selenium. You in each and every diets you have to provide the selenium rich diet, zinc, copper, iron, and magnesium. And along with that you have to provide the very good sources of fat soluble vitamins and the water soluble vitamins also very important. And mainly the antioxidant rich diet, those the antioxidant means the vitamin A, vitamin E, and vitamin C also beneficial in the high risk, very good for the management of your critical ill patient. And what is the calorie requirement for the ICU patient? It is very important. While you are doing the rounds in the ICU patient, now you have to write down there in the files, you have to write down there the total calorie requirement of that patient. And the calorie requirement per day is according to the Horace Bendit equation. You have to provide 1.25 multiplied by REE, resting energy expenditure. In the total resting energy expenditure is multiplied by the 1.25. For the women, resting energy and restricted energy expenditure for the women according to the Horace Bendit equation, you have to provide the total calorie requirement for the women is 655 plus 9.6 multiplied by the weight in kg plus 1.85 multiplied by the height in centimeter minus 4.7 into age in years. This is the total calorie requirement of the women, resting energy expenditure. And for the men also, you have to in the resting energy expenditure 66 plus 13.7 multiplied by the weight in kg plus 5.5 plus 5 into height in centimeter minus 6.8 into age in years. This is the calorie requirement resting energy expenditure for the men only. And also the reduction in the calorie intake has occurred for the number of reasons. The calorie requirement may be reduced, and mainly the excess the calorie delivery because of the numerous metabolic complications during the critical ill patient, they may be affected by the hyperglycemia. That so many complications is arises during the severe critical ill patient, and for them now the complication are maybe hyperglycemia. Hyperglycemia is the presence of high concentration of glucose in the blood, that is called as the hyperglycemia. And hyperinsulinemia is nothing, that is the in excessive level of insulin in the blood, that is called as the hyperinsulinemia. And hepatic steatosis. What is hepatic steatosis? Hepatic steatosis, hepatic means liver. Hepatic steatosis means it's the accumulation of fat in the liver, that is called as the hepatic steatosis. That is hepatic steatosis. And in the severe hyperglycemia, mainly it is associated with the glycosuria. What is glycosuria? Glycosuria means excess glucose in the urine, that is called as the hyperglycosuria. And in the hyperinsulinemia, due to the those who are having the critical ill, they are the main complication of the critical ill patient is the hyperinsulinemia. That means increase the excessive level of insulin in the blood. In the blood, your insulin level will be increases in the hyperinsulinemia. On the other hand, that leads to, if the patient is affected by the high insulin level in the blood, it leads to increased sodium and water retention. যদি ব্লড রে ইনসুলিন মাত্রা বଢি যাଉଛି তাহলে কোন হবো সেই পেশেন্ট মানଙ୍କର সোডিয়ম ଆଉ ওয়াটার রিটেনশন বডিরে হবো গোড় হাত মুহ ফুলিবা ବି ଆରମ୍ଭ ହେଇଯିବ which with the resultant greatly increase the ventilator requirement. ଯେହେତୁ ହାଇପର ଇନସୁଲିନ ଲେଭେଲ ବଢି ଯାଉଛି, ଇନସୁଲିନ ଲେଭେଲ ବଢିବା ଲାଗି ତାଙ୍କର sodium and water retention ବି ବଡିରେ ହବ. Due to the retention of the sodium and the water level in the body, the patient may require the ventilator. It's a very serious condition. Due to the impaired lungs complaints, lungs ର function ବି ଧୀରେ ଧୀରେ କମି ଯିବ as a result of increased lungs and body water. Lungs ରେ ମଧ୍ୟ infection start ହେଇଯିବ. And these hyperinsulinemia mainly leads to endogenous lipolysis. What is endogenous lipolysis? Means hydrolysis of the lipids. Body जो lipids गुड़ाक फैट गुड़ाक सब hydrolysis ହେଇଯିବ to greater carbohydrate utilization increased and carbon dioxide production and the impairment of the respiratory function. ये सब respiratory function will be gradually decreases and it may be leads to the what? Very serious condition and also increase the morbidity rate. बुझी होची कौन पढ़ो होची?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
Yes, ma'am.
Okay. The calorie requirement of the children, those who are depends upon the ICU or the in the very critical ill patient, for the children the calorie requirement is 20 to 25 kilocalorie per kg per body weight is required. Okay, and that is gradually we have to increase up to 30 to 35 kilocalorie per kg per day during the recovery phase. Okay, but initially the body is not able to take the increase calorie. That's why you have to start the patient from the 20 to 25 kilocalorie per kg per day in the EBB phase. But gradually, if the patient is having the recovery phase now, or depending on the individual tolerance, you have to increase the what? Increase the increase the calorie level, and you have to increase up to 30 to 35 kilocalorie per kg per body weight. And the protein intake and the protein requirement of the ICU dependency patient or for the critical ill patient, you have to provide 1.5 to 3 gram per kg per day. Okay, unless until the patient is having no complication of the hepatic or the liver hepatic or the renal complication. Those who are having the complication, those who are staying in the hospital in very critical illness stage, at that time you can provide 1.5 to 3 grams of 3 grams per kg body weight. Understood? बुझी होची ना बुझी होनी?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And in the ICU patient also, the fat requirement is also very vital, because in the ICU patient, in the critical ill patient, they are very weight loss is a very common, because due to the lacking of the proper nutrition. In that cases, you have to focus on the lipid metabolism also. You have to provide the very good sources of protein, sorry, lipids, because this lipids emulsion, which includes the mainly, while you are formulating the any kind of lipids for the critical ill patient, you have to provide the MCT form of fat, that means medium chain triglycerides of fats, and that omega 3 fatty acids are being increased use. You have to provide very good sources of omega 3 fatty acids, and the amounts of the lipid administered in the critical ill children has been reduced to 15-20% of total calorie intake also. And mainly the branch chain amino acid like the isoleucine, leucine, and valine, and the medium chain triglyceride structured lipids omega 3 fatty acid you have to recommend for the ICU or for the critical ill patient. Okay, and this is your mainly the enteral feeding, means you have to, in the enteral feeding, oral nutrition possible. If the patient is orally nutrition he can take, then it's okay. If the patient is unable to take the food orally, then you have to shift the nutrition to the parenteral or the enteral. If the patient is not able to take the food through the orally, then patient must be depend for the either enteral feeding, otherwise parenteral feeding. If the patient is able to take the food orally, then you can supply the normal food adequately, or normal food. If normal food adequately, then it's yes, no adaptation or no intervention is required. If the normal food is inadequate, insufficient, then additional food is required, or any kind of that additional foods may be energy dense and protein rich food and the snacks. You have to, if the patient is having any kind of deficiency, then you have to include the arsenal foods in the diet. And in the arsenal diet, you have to increase the energy dense and the protein rich foods. Okay, but if that modular product like the deficiency of the protein in the relation to the energy, modular product, if the patient is having the any kind of complication, the deficiency of protein in relation to the energy, for them now, if the protein deficiency is there, the nitrogen enriched supplements and protein powder you have to provide for them only. And if in the patient with the modular product the energy deficiency is there, na, in that cases you have to provide the energy enriched supplement. For the increase of the energy level, you have to include the glucose polymers or the fat emulsions. And glucose and fat, both of they are the very good source of energy. Those who are having the deficiency of the energy, na, for them only you have to provide the glucose polymers or the fat emulsion. Okay, and if the patient with the oral nutrition sees the feeding in the oral nutritional supplements, na, drinks a formula nutritional complete, providing mainly in that formula feed that contains the proteins, carb, fat, vitamins, and the minerals also. Okay, and if the patient is depend upon the parenteral or the enteral nutrition, in both the parenteral and the enteral nutrition are the form of the liquid. Okay, in the enteral, mainly it is used when the gut is still partially working. Enteral, what do you mean by enteral feeding? What do you mean by parenteral feeding? Enteral is mainly used when the this GI tract, gut is still partially working, but the patient cannot eat or absorb through enough food through the what nutrient to stay the healthy. And specifically, this enteral is delivered directly into the enteral feeding, means you have to put one tube directly to the stomach or the intestine through a feeding tube. That is called as the enteral feeding. In the enteral feeding, we are inserting one tube to the directly to the stomach or in the intestine through a feeding tube. It is called as your enteral feeding. But in parenteral feeding, the parenteral feeding means the nutrient are delivered through the IV method, means intravenous, जो saline फैलाइन जहाँ दिया होगी, and the gastrointestinal tract is bypass entirely. In the parenteral feeding ना हमारे जो GI tract रही gastrointestinal tract रही से ट्रैक को बाईपास करिकी गोटे नली पका जाए एवं पाइप दिया जाए, से थ्रू दैट पाइप ओनली वी आर प्रोवाइडिंग द, we are supply the nutrition to the patient, and parenteral is given through a catheter, okay, which carries the liquid directly into the bloodstream where the body absorbs. Okay, in the parenteral nutrition therapy, you have to give through a catheter and which carries the liquid directly into the bloodstream where the body is absorbed. Now I will discuss about the enteral nutrition. What is enteral nutrition?
Ma'am,
Arpita,
ଆଜ୍ଞା ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟାଲ ଫୁଡ୍ ଯୋଉ ଦିଆଯିବ ନଳୀରେ ସେଟା କଣ ଲିକ୍ୱିଡ ଫର୍ମରେ ଦିଆଯିବ ନା କେମିତି ସେଟା?
କଣ ପଚାରୁଛୁ?
ପ୍ୟାରେଣ୍ଟାଲ ଯୋଉଟା କହୁଛନ୍ତି ଫ୍ଲୁଇଡ ଟା ଦିଆଯିବ ସେଟା ଯୋଉ ଲିକ୍ୱିଡ ଫର୍ମରେ ଦିଆଯିବ ନା କେମିତି ସେଇଟା?
हाँ लिक्विड फॉर्म रे ही दिया जीवो एंटरल फीडिंग या पेरेंटरल फीडिंग मींस लिक्विड फीडिंग इज द एंटरल फीडिंग आ जेटा ओरली नॉन है कि गोटे ट्यूब माध्यम रे हम बॉडी को इंसर्ट करके दिया जीवो दैट इज द एंटरल फीडिंग. Now I will discuss about the enteral nutrition. What do you mean by enteral nutrition? Enteral ro माने हैला enteral. Enteral means within body भीतरे or by the ways of the gastrointestinal tract. जोटा directly GI tract रे कि body भीतरे जो nutrition directly दिया जाए that is your enteral feeding. Are you got your answer?
Yes, ma'am.
And mainly enteral feeding जो अच्छी ना enteral feeding is divided as provision of the nutrition support through the GI tract only, otherwise by accessing the gut, okay, and mainly it is also refers to feeding into the gastrointestinal tract through a feeding tube. In the enteral feeding you have to insert one what tube inside the GI tract, and enteral nutrition mainly administered by the transoral means oral ingestion of the food, or the transnasal enteral nutrition that may be transoral, that may be transnasal, that may be percutaneous or the transgastric tube, or that may be jejunostomy. All these are the enteral nutrition. That means in the enteral nutrition means it may be in through the oral, it may be through the oral nutrition means it is the transoral, means the path we are using for the nutrition is the through the oral part only. That's why its name is transoral route. Transoral means oral ingestion of the food. बुझिएला बे?
Again.
Transnasal
Yes,
means transnasal means administration of liquid feeds through the feeding tube through the nose. Understood?
Okay, ma'am.
ट्रांस इज द पाथवे जो पाथवे रे के जदि आमे मन कर नाजल पाथवे रे दबा ताले आमे सेही फीडिंग ट्यूब टा को आमे डायरेक्टली नोज दे कि आमे लिक्विड सेही पट दे कि आमे छाडिबो दैट इज द नाजोगैस्ट्रिक और नाजल ट्रांस नाजल फीडिंग. एंड जदि आमे ताको transgastric, if we will pass through the percutaneous transgastric routes means through the stomach way jodi ame deba tal that is called as the transgastric, or the tube into the small intestine jodi ame directly small intestine ame insert karuchanti, then that procedure is called as the jejunostomy feeding or jejunum goda. Jejunum is the part of your what intestine. If intestine, yes, if we will be insert one tube directly to the small intestine, it is called as the jejunostomy feeding. If those patient are, if the patient will be stay for a long period in the hospital, in that cases also we are administered the jejunostomy feeding or the percutaneous endoscopic jejunostomy feeding. This jejunostomy feeding is otherwise in the hospital diet it is called as the PEG feeding, PEG, that is called as the PEG feeding. And enteral nutrition is often called as the tube feeding. Total enteral nutrition it is called as the tube feeding. जितेबाला आईसीयू रे पेशेंट थांती हमर कोन फीडिंग चलची पचरा जाय ताले हम सेटा कोन कहतो ना ट्यूब फीडिंग चलची. ट्यूब फीडिंग रे डिफरेंट मेथड जेमति कि दैट मे बी थ्रू द ट्रांसनाजल, दैट मे बी थ्रू द ट्रांसगैस्ट्रिक, दैट मे बी थ्रू द ट्रांस oral. If it will be inserted directly to the oral ingestion of the food, that is the transoral. Transnasal is the administration of the liquid feed through the tube, through the feeding tube, through the nose, that is called as the transnasal. And the percutaneous transgastric means through the stomach, that is called as the transgastric. And mainly Jejunostomy feeding means you have to insert a tube directly to the small intestine. It is called as the jejunostomy feeding. Jejunostomy feeding is otherwise called as the peg feeding. P-E-J, peg feeding. You remember this point. It's very vital, very important. Peg feeding. What do you mean by peg feeding? Means you have to explain that that peg feeding means at the insert of a tube into the well in the small intestine. It is called as the jejunostomy feeding or the percutaneous endoscopic jejunostomy feeding. All of you clear?
Clear, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
ना किसी problem होची कि ना बुझी होची?
Again, ବୁଝିଯାଉଛି।
Because it's very vital. If you will be practice in the medical setup, in the hospital sector, if you will start your career for them, it's very vital. This what is fake feeding, what is enteral nutrition, what is ICU nutrition, what is parenteral nutrition is very vital for the medical practitioners. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
बुझी होची ना नहीं?
मैम जेजुनम फीडिंग टा को टाइप रो पेशेंट को पाई हुए
जेजुनोस्टोमी जदि मनेकर तार जेजुनोस्टोमी फिडिंग रे सेटा डॉक्टर कंसीडर करिवे जदि एनी टाइप ऑफ सिवियरली एनी टाइप ऑफ जदि जीआई ट्रैक्ट कोनसी प्रॉब्लम रहिछि ताको बाईपास करके डायरेक्टली से माने जेजुनोस्टोमी बा पेक फीडिंग से माने लगाई दिथांती एटा को प्रकार फीडिंग डिसाइड करबे इट्स टोटली डिपेंड अपॉन द डॉक्टर्स ओनली दे विल कंसीडर अबाउट दैट ओनली. But we dietitian, what we will be do, we only administer the types of food and what type of food we will be included in that enteral feeding or transnasal feeding or the peg feeding, otherwise in the total PN formula that's parenteral feeding or the enteral feeding. ओ टाइप रो हमें फीडिंग पेशेंट को दिया जीवो that is not decided by us only. It's totally depend upon the physician. Doctor will be decide what type of the what diet will be start to the patient. Understood?
यस मैम.
But once they will write that the patient, you will start the patient a peg feeding. In that peg feeding formula, what we have to give that patient, that is totally depend upon the dietitian only. They will not. They will suggest you can include all these things, but at that time your role will be start. But what type of feeding they will start, it's totally depend upon the physician only. That is not depend upon us. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
यस मैम.
Are you got your answer or
नो मैम.
any doubt?
No, ma'am.
Rajalakshmi ma'am बुझिएला
यस मैम.
पेक फीडिंग आमे डिसाइड करिबानी पेक फीडिंग हो कि जेजुनोस्टोमी फीडिंग हो पेरेंटल न्यूट्रिशन हो एंट्रल न्यूट्रिशन हो केते एमएल केते अबाली 200 एमएल सेकंड अबाली दबा या 100 एमएल फर्स्ट अबाली दबा या 50 एमएल थर्ड अबाली दबा. It is only decided by the consultant only. We are not responsible for that. We are only responsible for the what type of diet we will be formulate during the administration of what the ICU feeding or the enteral or the parenteral feeding. But the how much the patient is required, that means 200 ml second double, 200 ml third double, it's totally prescribed by the doctor. So accordingly, we will provide the nutritional plan. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
यस मैम.
Now किछि असुविधा रहउछि बुझिबारे?
No, ma'am.
नो मैम. बुझी होची.
Okay. What is the benefits of this enteral nutrition? Why we will be use this enteral nutrition? Because due to if we will provide this enteral nutrition, it's very easily and accurately monitored. And also it provides the nutrition when the oral intake is not possible, if the oral intake is not sufficient, if the oral intake is inadequate. In that case, you have to start the enteral nutrition. And it is also very easier to administer and administer present few metabolic and the infectious complication and as compared to the parenteral route also. And it also reduce the, if we will start the enteral nutrition, it reduce the incidence of pathogen entry or bacterial translocation into the stomach cavity or the circulation also. And it provides more complete nutrient, trace elements, and short chain fatty acid and fiber also. And mainly the central nutrition is shown to the promote the gut motility. That means it will increase the motility of the intestine also, and it also reduce the bacterial translocation. If we will start the enteral nutrition, it reduces the bacterial translocation, and it also prevents the mucosal atrophy. Okay, mucosal atrophy को मतलब prevent करे, and also stimulate the secretion of IgA, immunoglobulin A को स्टिमुलेट करे एवं आईजीए इम्यूनोग्लोबिन ए सिक्रेशन को बढ़े देता है, एंड दैट मेनली that immunoglobulin A helps in reduce the infectious complication for those who are having, if someone will be critical ill, in that cases the chance of infection will be very easily increases. To prevent the all type of infection, if the body will get the proper nutrition or well balanced diet will be provided na, due to the proper nutrition, it will stimulate the secretion of the IgA. That IgA is nothing, IgA is the immunoglobulin A, and mainly this immunoglobulin A will be help for the reduce the infection complication for the patient. ये देखिथिबे जो माने आईसीयू रे रुहंती जदि प्रॉपर न्यूट्रिशन से माने को मिलुनी ड्यू टू द डेफिसिट ऑफ द due to the insufficient nutrition, the patient will be very prone towards the infection. It's very common. Understood na? For that only, if the patient will get the proper nutrition or the sufficient nutrition or the well balanced nutrition, in that case what will be happen, it will increase the secretion of the IgA, immunoglobulin A. After the release of the IgA from the body, it also helpful for the, it prevents the any kinds of infection. बुझी होची ना बुझी होनी?
Yes, ma'am. ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ତା ପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ
Yes,
କଣ
ma'am.
କରିବା ପାଇଁ ପଡିବ ଇନଫେକ୍ସନ ଦୂରେଇ ରଖିବା ପାଇଁ?
ବୁଝି କଣ ହେଲା? ବଡ ପାଟିରେ ପଚାର, ଯାହା ପଚାରୁଛୁ।
ମ୍ୟାମ୍ ଇନଫେକ୍ସନ ନ ହେବା ପାଇଁ ଯୋଉ ଆମର କଣ ଖାଦ୍ୟ ସେ ପାଇଁ ଦବା ପାଇଁ ପଡିବ ନା କେମିତି କଣ?
ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ତ ଏଣ୍ଟରାଲ ନ୍ୟୁଟ୍ରିସନ ଆମେ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବା। ଆଇସିୟୁ ଯୋଉମାନେ ଲଙ୍ଗ ଟର୍ମ ହସ୍ପିଟାଲାଇଜ ପେସେଣ୍ଟ ମାନଙ୍କ ପାଇଁ ବୋଲି, ଯୋଉମାନେ unable to take the food properly through the orally or any kind of if the condition is very deteriorate, at that time patient is not able to take the food through the orally, at that time we are administered any kind of enteral nutrition. In the enteral nutrition, we have to provide the well balanced form, energy, protein, carb, and whatever you are providing in the diet, you have to calculate the diet calorie requirement, protein requirement, fat requirement. Not only the calorie, protein, fat is important, along with the calorie and that total protein, carb, and fat, macro and micronutrient play a major role. If the body will be get the proper well balanced nutrition from the enteral nutrition, then what will happen? It will increase the secretion of IgA. It stimulate the secretion of IgA, immunoglobulin A. After the release of the IgA, then it will also very good, very effective for the reduce the infection, any kind of infection. If in the body IgA level will be decreases, then that patient will be very prone towards the infection. When the IgA level will be decreases in the body, if the body will be not got the proper nutrition, proper diet, then only our IgA level, the IgA immunoglobulin A will be reduces. Due to the reduction of the immunoglobulin A, it causes the what? It's very prone towards the what? Chances for the any kind of infection. Very good. Arpita, are you got your answer?
Yes, ma'am.
Mainly this enteral feed is patient eating the solid food, it's good. If the patient is not taking the solid food properly, then we will take the food in patient. Mainly in the first we will be check whether the patient is drinking or not, yes or no. If the patient is easily drinks the food, it's good. If it is not take the food from through the orally, na, then it initiates the enteral feeding or the tube feeding. At that time, you have to depend for the tube feeding. And tube feeding also for the short term tube feeding, for the long term tube feeding. That means if the patient will be depend for the very short period in the enteral feeding, that is called the short term tube feeding, like 3 to 4 weeks only. If the patient will be depend for the more than 3 to 4 weeks, that is the long term tube feeding. Okay. And for the short term tube feeding, the gastric mobility disorder, like the for the short term tube feeding, nasogastric tube through the nose into the stomach. You can means use the nasogastric tube. In the nasogastric tube feeding, you have to insert the tube through the nose into the stomach. Or you may be for the if the patient will be staying period will be very long period, na, at that time you will be not depend upon the for the nasogastric tube feeding, because in the nasogastric tube feeding there may be the chance of infection. If it will be retained for the prolonged time, na, it may be causes the what infection. That's why if the patient will be stay for the long period in the hospitalization, at that time more than 3 to 4 weeks, if the patient will stay in the hospital, in that case you have to depend for the gastrectomy or jejunostomy, or it is called as the peg feeding. Understood? All of you clear about this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
3 ରୁ 4 ସପ୍ତାହ ଭିତରେ ଯଦି ପେସେଣ୍ଟ ଅଛନ୍ତି ତାହେଲେ ଆମେ ତାଙ୍କୁ ନାଜୋ ଗାଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ୍ ଟ୍ୟୁବରେ ଦେଇପାରିବା ଫିଡିଂ, କିମ୍ବା ଆମେ ନାଜୋ ଏଣ୍ଟେରିକ୍ ଟ୍ୟୁବ ମାଧ୍ୟମରେ ଯୋଉଟାକି ପୋଷ୍ଟ ପାଇଲୋରିକାଲି ମଧ୍ୟ ଆମେ ତାକୁ ବି ଆମେ ଫୁଡ୍ ଦେଇପାରିବା. ବଟ୍ ଇଫ୍ ଦ ପେସେଣ୍ଟ will be stay for the more than 3 to 4 weeks, in that case you have to start the jejunostomy feeding or the gastrectomy feeding. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And for whom this tube feeding is required, for whom this enteric tube feeding is required, mainly the indication of the enteric tube feeding is mainly for the adult portion, those who are having the any kind of neurological indication. If the patient is severely neurological complicated, in that case severe head injury case, the patient cannot able to take the food orally, in that case you can start the enteric tube feeding. Otherwise, if the patient is having the cerebrovascular accident, okay, means any kind of cerebrovascular accident, or in case of the coma stage also, or neoplasma. Neoplasma. What is neoplasms? Now, mainly advanced primary and the secondary intracranial tumors inside the brain. If the tumor size is very large, in that case also patient is not able to take the food orally. In that is also the neurological complication. In that case also you have to depend for the enteric feeding. And those patients are not able to take the food orally, dysphagia or difficult for the food deglutition, जो मैंने खाद्य ओराली खाई दियंती पार्टी पटे नहीं जानते, but they are feel very difficult during the deglutition. For them also you have to depend for the enteric tube feeding. And hypermetabolism case also. Hypermetabolism case means in the any sepsis, any kind of severe infection case. In that case also patient is not willing to take the food orally. In that case also you have to depend upon the enteric tube feeding. And the post-operative major surgery case, or there is any trauma or any bones case, an organ transplant after the kidney transplant or the after the heart transplant, at that time also you will be depend upon for the what enteric tube feeding. Otherwise, in any kind of AIDS case also, in that case also patient is not able to take the food in the orally, in that case you also depend for the what depend for the enteric tube feeding. And that's in some surgical procedure indication, like the if the jaw surgery, that means if the lower jaw or the upper jaw will be affected by the any kind of disorder, and if they will be depends for the surgery, na, after facial on the jaw surgery, or after any kind of head and neck surgery, or any kind of oropharyngeal surgery, that means mouth related any kind of surgery, or pharyngoesophageal surgery, or any kind of burns case, in that case you have to start the enteral nutrition. Or if someone will be affected by the any kind of gastrointestinal disorder, that may be short bowel syndrome, otherwise inflammatory bowel syndrome, otherwise pancreatitis patient, and esophageal obstruction. If in some cases of the patient they are having the obstruction in the Oesophagus. In that case also you have to start, it will be depend for the enteral nutrition. and and some case of the cancer also you can depend, in the cancer patient you can depend for the enteral nutrition. Oral malignancy, if someone will be affected by the oral, means mouth cancer, in that case patient is not able to take the food orally, in that case also you have to depend for the enteral nutrition. Otherwise oropharyngeal malignancy, that means mouth or pharynx cancer, if someone is affected by the mouth or pharynx cancer, otherwise nose or pharynx cancer, otherwise head and neck cancer, otherwise oesophagus malignancy, means oesophageal cancer, if gastric cancer or chemotherapy, radiotherapy, in that cases also after chemotherapy after radiation therapy the patient is not able to take the food, they can easily, they cannot no, means they can not interested to take the food orally, at that time you can start the enteral nutrition also. And also in the malnutrition, those who are having the severely malnourished patient, in that case also you will be start the enteral nutrition. And organ system failure, that means if the patient is having the heart failure or the respiratory failure or the hepatic failure, means that liver failure or any kind of multiple organ system failure, in that case you can start the enteral nutrition. And for children, those who are having the very means malnourished children, and that those are having the any digestion problem and excretion problem, in that case also you can start the enteral nutrition. Understood?
Yes, ma'am.
अर्पिता बुझी होची ना नहीं?
ଆଜ୍ଞା ମ୍ୟାମ୍।
And these enteral feeds, and that's what is the characteristic of this enteral feeding. Mainly enteral feeding formula is two types. You remember, it's very important, very important. पूरा भल्ल से मन दे कि सुनो एबे जहाँ मु पढ़ौची ଆମର जो enteral feeds ରହିଛି ତାର mainly enteral feeds formula are two type. One is your oligomeric formula and another one is your polymeric formula. What is oligomeric? Oligomeric formula. Oligomeric formula is otherwise called as your semi-elemental diets or the elemental diets. Understood? Mane rahila?
Yes, ma'am.
oligomeric formula होची हमरो जोटा देखिथिबो semi elemental diet is otherwise called as the oligomeric formula, otherwise the elemental diet is otherwise called as the oligomeric formula. That means that semi elemental diet the oligomeric diets or the semi elemental diets are pre-digested diet, pre-digested, and that mainly formulated to requires minimal digestion. It will not exert more pressure upon our GI tract for the digestion of that particular formula based food. That's why it is called as the semi-elemental diet. Pre-digested form of the food, that is the semi-elemental. All the oligomeric formula are elemental or the semi-elemental diets. Understood, all of you? Clear?
Yes, ma'am.
And it will not exert more pressure upon our GI tract for the digestion, and it requires the minimal digestion by the gastrointestinal tract. In other words, these type of semi-elemental diet or oligomeric diet or the elemental diet is otherwise called as the complete food, because ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଅଦର ଫୁଡ ନଉଛନ୍ତି ସେଇଥିରୁ ଅଧା ଫୁଡ ଡାଇଜେସନ ହଉଛି, ଅଧା ଫୁଡ ନ ହେଇକି ମଧ୍ୟ ବାହାରକୁ ପଳଉଛି, and ବହୁତ ଅଳ୍ପ ଜିନିଷ ବଡି ତାକୁ ଆବଜର୍ଭ କରୁଛି, ବହୁତ ଜିନିଷ ମଧ୍ୟ ଏକ୍ସକ୍ରେଟ ହେଇକି ବାହାରକୁ ବାହାରି ଯାଉଛି. But if we will take the food in the semi-elemental food form, in that cases what will happen? It is the pre-digested form of the food. It will not exert more pressure upon our GI tract. Then that's why it's very easy for the digestion also. And what is the characteristic of the oligomeric formula? The main characteristic of the oligomeric formula mainly provides the sufficient amount of protein, calories, water, electrolyte, vitamins, minerals, and all the trace element will be there. That means in the 2 liter per day for the non-stressed patient. In one day, you can formulate for them 2 liters per day. those who are not having any kind of stress, for them you can start 2 liters of day, and provides mainly this oligomeric formula provides the nitrogen as the oligopeptides from partially hydrolyzed and whole proteins or as the crystalline amino acids. These जो oligomeric formula mainly it from a nitrogen or the oligopeptides from the partially hydrolyzed whole protein, and also in the crystalline amino acids. And in the oligomeric formula, mainly carbohydrate tends to provide as the glucose oligosaccharide or the glucose. This is all about your oligomeric formula. But in the what is polymeric formula? Polymeric formula, it is otherwise called as, it is defined as the formula diet, means formula feed. And mainly in this polymeric formula, its main purpose, mostly it is widely prescribed feed, and it is the main source of nutrition intake for the critical ill patient. ICU patient time specifically we are using the polymeric formula, and critical ill individuals with a near normal GI function. They are having no, their GI function is very normal. In that case, you can use the polymeric formula. What is the characteristic of this polymeric formula? The main characteristic of the polymeric formula is it provides the nitrogen as the whole protein, and also casein, egg white, solid, and soya protein. Okay. And the carbohydrate is provided as the corn syrup, maltodextrins, or glucose oligosaccharides with the sucrose added for the sweetness in oral formula. Mainly जो कार्बोहाइड्रेट आम यूज करिया फॉर द पॉलीमेरिक फॉर्मूला एटा जेमति कॉर्न सिरप हो कि माल्टोडेक्स्ट्रिन फॉर्म रे हो ग्लूकोज ऑलिगोसैकेराइड्स सेटा होची हमर मेनली सुक्रोज एडेड फॉर द स्वीटनेस इन द ओरल फॉर्मूला चीनी पिनी मध्ये हमें केतरा केस जो रिक्वायर हो हमें ऐड करि थांते and जो फैट हमें दबा इन द पॉलीमेरिक फॉर्मूला फैट्स इज यूजुअली प्रोवाइड इज द सोया ऑयल रो हमें पकेबा otherwise you can use from the sunflower oil ho किंवा corn oil हो mainly used as the fat, and that MCT oil is rarely used. That is the polymeric formula. And another formula is another diet is your modular formula. What is modular formula? Modular formula is mainly it is the use particularly components of the diet. It's required and increased intake of if the patient requires a special blend of diets. In that type of diet is called as the modular formula or the feeds. And these modular formula, mainly modules, are not required for the majority of the patient. It's that modular formula is used very rarely. And what is the specific characteristic of this modular formula? These modular formula are mainly it contains or predominantly contains one kind of nutrient, and there are mainly commercial available modules for protein, fat, carb, electrolyte, and trace element. Vitamins is also there. And the example of this includes mainly this type of modular formula we are using for the bonds or the protein losing enteropathy cases. If more protein is to be given or liver disease, if the less protein is to be given, जो patient जो मानकर particular specific diet the requirement रहुची, that is the modular formula. Specially we are using for this type of modular formula we are using for the management of the bonds case, otherwise any kind of liver disorder or the kidney disorder. What is blenderized feeds? Blenderized feeds means जो critical ill patient with normal GI function, they are severely ill, they are critically dependent for the ICU also, critically ill patient, and their GI function, gastrointestinal function will be with the normal condition. In that case, we are using the blenderized feed. In the blenderized feed, mainly prepared by mixing the ingredients and delivered in an easily digestible form. And mainly it provides the carb, protein, fat. Okay. And for the long term nutritional management, natural food items are used to preparing the जोटा आम किचन रे बने कि आम दे परिबा हॉस्पिटल रे किचन रे बना हुए जेतोल पेशेंट डिस्चार्ज भी होंती घरे मध्य डाइटिशियन माने आपण मानन को गाइड करितांती एवं घरे आसी कि आपण माने निजे निजे ब्लेंडराइज्ड फीड बने कि पेशेंट को दे परिबे. And another feed is also there. It is called as the disease specific feed. ଯେତେବେଳେ ICU nutrition ଚାଲିଥିବ enteral feeding ICU ରେ patient ଥିବ enteral feeding ଚାଲିଥିବ, specifically disease specific feeds is also there, and these are specially formulated the polymeric enteric feeds. And these disease specific feeds mainly recommended for the renal patient, specifically particular type of disease case we are using the disease specific feeds. In the renal patient or the liver disease patient, we are using all these the disease specific feeds. And what is the opportunistic feeds? It's also very vital. What do you mean by this opportunistic feed? Opportunistic feed is nothing. Opportunistic feed means with the nutritional, I mean, opportunistic feed, we either we will be include some nutrition addition and the subtraction of some nutrient, okay, which are mainly suggested to improve the various aspects of the organ function. For the proper functioning of the organ, we have to add something or we have to subtract something, that is called the opportunistic feed. And the addition and that subtract includes mainly the MST, that means the middle chain triglycerides, and mainly increase the level of the N3 fatty acids, that is the carnitine, beta carotene, RNA, arginine, glutamine, like this. This is called as the opportunistic feed. And last one is your drink feeds. What do you mean by drink feed? Drink feed is that if for those who cannot eat the solid foods, but they can digest the liquid food, they cannot take the food orally, but if you will be if you will be recommend the diet in the liquid form, na, they can be take it very easily. And characteristic of this drink feeds is mainly nutritionally complete enteral feeds based on the polymeric enteral diet, and it is also very palatable. And what is the main factor to consider when we are choose this enteral formulation? For the enteral formulation, you have to the factors are mainly you have to if the patient is having the gastrointestinal functions or the calorie and protein density of the formula, and the type of protein, fat, carb and fiber in the formula was related to the patient digestive and the absorption capacity also. And mainly it depends upon the sodium, potassium content, magnesium, phosphorus content of the formula, especially for the patient with the cardiopulmonary and renal hepatic failure. Because in the if the patient is having any kind of hepatic disorder, in that case you cannot means recommend high fat. Similarly, if the patient is having the any kind of kidney disorder, in that case you have to subtract that you have to exclude the diet rich in sodium and the potassium also. And the viscosity of the formula related to the tube size and the method of feeding is very vital. Okay, केते थिकनेस रे आमे निहाती रूपे फॉर्मूला फीड दबा जेतेबेले आमे जेतेबेले फॉर्मूला फीड आमे दउछंती पेशेंट को आमे जदि माने कर अधिक ट्यूब रे जीव गला बेलू जदि अधिक थिक वाला फीड भी आमे दे दमा, then also it will causes so many difficulties and also it causes the complication. ओके, दैट्स व्हाई केते विस्कोसिटी रे केते की मोटा फॉर्म रे या केते पतला फॉर्म रे हमें फीड दवा पेशेंट को थ्रू द एंट्रल फीडिंग इट्स आल्सो वेरी वाइटल. बुझिएला?
यस मैम.
अर्पिता तमे कोठी बिलोंग्स करो, कोठी रहो?
बालेश्वर.
कोन करूछ तमे?
मैं एमएससी बीएफएसएम एडमिशन करछि. बीएससी बीएड करे.
It is not the proper answer what I am asking. এটা তো ମୁଁ ଜାଣିଛି. Yes or no?
यस मैम.
तमे तो एमएससी डीएफएसएम करूछ ମୁଁ ଜାଣିଛି ना, आ तमे एक्स्ट्रा आंसर कोन देला मते? Are you got my point what I am asking?
यस मैम.
कोन करूछ? That means ओनली एटा ही करूछ ना आउ किछि एडिशनल किछि अछि तमरो?
ओनली एटा करछि.
या पूर्वरु कोन करिछ?
बीएड.
कौन
B.Ed
ओके
Bachelor in Education.
किसी जॉब करूछन
नहीं मैम.
okay then what is the enteral formula composition enteral feeding ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ତା formulation କଣ ହବା ଦରକାର mainly ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ the most of the formula mainly provides 1.0 to 1.2 kilocalorie per ml ଆମେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଡକ୍ଟର ଲେଖିଥାନ୍ତି ଯେ 200 ml ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ଆୱାରଲି 8ଟା ଫିଡ୍ ଦିନକୁ ଦିଆଯିବ 200 ml ସେକେଣ୍ଡ ଆୱାରଲି means 200 ml ଆମେ ଷ୍ଟାର୍ଟ କରିବା ସକାଳେ 6ଟାରୁ ତାପରେ 8ଟା ବେଳେ again 200 ml ଦବା then 10ଟାରେ 200 ml ଦବା ଏମିତି କରି କରି throughout the day we will provide 8 feet या 9 feet per day understood तो जो हमें जितनी ml देवा तो 1 ml should be contains the 1 kilocalorie to 1.2 kilocalorie हमें सेतिरे जो न्यूट्रिएंट दबा जो न्यूट्रिशन हमें दबा सेटा केते केते कैलोरी हबा दरकार ना तो टोटल कैलोरी रु गोटे ml जदि पेशेंट रो बॉडी को जाउची देन दैट 1 ml should be contains it provides the 1.0 to 1.2 kilocalorie must be there and they also may provide 1.5 to 2.0 kilocalorie per ml okay and in that enteral feeding enteral formula protein is also play a very vital role and the protein mainly provides 4% to 32% of the total calorie whatever you are providing the calorie na in from that calorie you have to provide 4% to 32% of the from that totally calorie the patient should got the 4 to 32% of the protein from that calorie and those formula mainly 18 to 32% of the calorie are considered the high protein solution carb and whatever you are providing the diet to the enteral feeding now the carbohydrate plays a very major role and carbohydrate should be in between the 40 to 90% totally calorie in the enteral formula carb should be 40 to 90% and the sources of the carbohydrate like the pure fruits so vegetables corn syrup solids or the corn tapioca and the starch hydrolyzed, otherwise fructose, glucose, sucrose, or maltodextrins. Okay. And the lipid, the amount of lipids should be in between 1.5 to 55% of the total calorie of enteral formula. That means you have to provide 1.5 percentage to up to 55% of the total calorie from the fat sources only, from the lipid sources and the water recommended mainly for the adult healthy adult na 35 ml per kg body weight that means 1 ml per kilocalorie body weight is required and for the healthy infants mainly 150 ml per kg body weight 150 ml per kg body weight that means if the patient is having the 10 kg then means the body requirement of that total ml is 10 kg multiply by the 150 ml that means 1500 ml तो सेतिके को थ्रू आउट द डे रे हमें ताको सेग्रीगेट करिकी दबा and that for the elderly people na 25 ml per kg with the those who are having the renal complication or liver disorder or the cardiac problem for them you have to administer 35 ml per kg and for the normal tube feeding 1 kilocalorie per ml that means 80% to 85% of water you have to provide and some commerce in the some different types of formula feed is available in the market and that the brand different in the different brand of this formula feed is available like the Pediasure, Frezubin, Nutrin, Resource, or Pentasure like this. Now I will discuss about the parenteral nutrition. What do you mean by parenteral nutrition? Parenteral nutrition, I already discussed about the enteral nutrition. Now I will discuss about the parenteral nutrition. Enteral nutrition, Samastha, are you clear about the enteral nutrition?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
आउ जदि आम पूरा आउ मु ब्रीफली मत लगुच बहुत सारा ब्रीफली मु कहूची आउ जदि भितर को जीवी ताले सिलेबस सरीबनी हमर आगु पछी को और थेरापेटिक न्यूट्रिशन डिजीज स्पेसिफिक न्यूट्रिशन बहुत सारा रहिछि जोटा कि आपण माने कवरेज देई परिबे नै। What is parental nutrition? Enteral nutrition. In the parental nutrition, mainly parental nutrition is the refers to the nutrient mainly delivered to the patient in a manner other than through the gastrointestinal tract. That is called as the parenteral nutrition. And that parenteral nutrition usually delivered the intravenously. Intravenously means bypassing the digestive tract. And the parenteral nutrition is one of the ways the people receive the food when they cannot eat and there is a dysfunctioning of the GI tract. GI tract total dysfunction is if the patient is not able to take the food orally, at that time we will be depend upon the parenteral nutrition. And mainly the mixture that parenteral nutrition, it contains the all the proteins, sugars, fat, vitamins, minerals and other nutrient also. And sometimes it is also called as the TPN formula. Parenteral nutrition is otherwise called as the TPN formula, means total parenteral nutrition. What is total parenteral nutrition? Total parenteral nutrition or hyperalimentation or parenteral nutrition in TPN especially supplies all of the patient daily nutritional requirement. Partially, this parenteral nutrition supplies only the part of the patient's daily nutritional requirement. Specifically, this type of TPN formula, this parenteral nutrition support is mainly indicated in the presence of the compromised nutritional status. When adequate nutrient, that means when adequate protein and calorie cannot be provided by the oral route or the enteral route, or when the oral or enteral feeding is insufficient. In that cases, we will depend for the parenteral nutrition. And the ineffective short bowel syndrome, in the severe malabsorption syndrome, and impossible intestinal obstruction or the pseudo obstruction, in all these cases the patient will not got the sufficient nutrition. For them only, for that cases only, we will depend upon the total parenteral nutrition. In other words, when the parenteral nutrition is generally used when the enteral route is either inaccessible or it use is contraindicated. In that case, we will be depend for the what TPN formula, total parenteral nutrition. And mainly this type of nutrition is used in the most critical patients, most critical patients which may have one or more of the following symptoms. In that cases, we have to depend for the TPN formula. Mainly if there is the intestinal obstruction or the ileus obstruction. In that cases, the patient will be depend upon the intestinal obstruction. And if inadequate digestive or the absorptive capacity, those who are having the any kind of the inadequate digestion, otherwise absorptive capacity, in that case also you have to depend on the what for the TPN formula. And uncontrollable vomiting, in that case also you will be depend for the TPN formula. Inability to tolerate the food for any reason, if the patient is having the head injury or head trauma, mundore kichi କ୍ଷତ ହେଇଛି କିମ୍ବା burns up to the mouth also, in that case also the patient is not able to take the food through the orally. In that case also it will be depend, the patient will be may depend upon the TPN formula. Or any kind of burns or face or esophagus, in that case the patient will be depend for the TPN formula. And if in some cases na high risk of aspiration, because the patient is on consciousness or has a very neurological problem, in that case also the patient will be depend for the TPN formula. A need for complete GI tract rest due to the digestive disease or healing time needed for the GI tract lesion or the surgical repairs or the any kind of acute pancreatitis or hepatitis patient, that also may be depend upon the TPN formula. In ଯୋଉମାନେ ଯୋଉ ଛୋଟ ପିଲାମାନେ ଥାନ୍ତି infants ହୁଅନ୍ତୁ କିମ୍ବା children's, the parental nutrition is indicated during the intestinal failure or mainly during the any organ failure case also, or hypercatabolic state. Hypercatabolic state means in the extensive burns or the severe traumas, the severe madapada bhi ages, in that case also will be depend upon for the what TPN formula. And what is the advantages of this TPN formula? Because if we will be depend upon the TPN formula, it provides the nutrient when the less than 2 to 3 feet of small intestine remains when the surgical procedure are carried out. Okay, it mainly provides the nutrient when less than 2 to 3 feet of small intestine remains when the surgical procedure are carried out, and allows the nutrition support when the GI intolerance prevents the oral or the enteral support also. Allows the nutritional support when the GI intolerance prevents oral and the enteral supports. And specifically, this parental support is mainly we are using for the very short period of time. That means 2 weeks or less than 2 weeks, like that. If in the if the patient will be depend for the long time staying at the hospital, at that time you will be depend for the what TPN formula or parental nutrition. And this parental nutrition mainly includes a combination of the carb is mainly required for the energy, and protein is highly required in the TPN formula because for the muscle strength, and fat is also highly required, vitamins, electrolyte, trace element. Electrolytes mainly includes the sodium, potassium, chloride, phosphate, calcium, and the magnesium. And trace element mainly include the copper, zinc, manganese, chromium, vitamins, vitamin A, D, E, K, B, and B2 also. Niacin, pantothenic acid, and B12, biotin, choline, and the folic acid. What is the composition of parenteral nutrition? It is also very vital. What is the composition of parenteral nutrition? The composition of the parenteral nutrition mainly. But the composition of this parenteral nutrition, the main composition of the parenteral nutrition is the carb, protein, fat, and the other vitamins and the minerals. Mainly the carb are the principal provided through the glucose and from the dextrose. Okay, and in the parenteral nutrition, mainly it initiated with the glucose infusion. That glucose infusion doses of the 5 milligram per kg per minute, and it may be increased to 25 gram per kg per day. Okay, and in this carb we have to start from the glucose or the dextrose, and initially when you will start the dose, you have to start from the 5 milligram per kg per minute, and gradually we have to increase up to 25 gram per kg per day. And the protein requirement, mainly the adult, the protein requirement 0.5 to 3 grams per kg day, and the protein requirement of 1.2 to 1.5 gram protein per kg ideal body weight is recommended. If the mainly in case of mild to moderate stress, and 2.5 gram of protein per kg body weight is required. Okay, and specifically in some trauma case or in very severe cases, you can increase the protein content up to 1.5 to up to 2.5 grams of protein per day. You can per kg body weight. And protein are generally provided a crystalline amino acid solution in standard 200 ml of bottle. And lipids, mainly 10% of the diet should be come from the fat only. And the parenteral nutrition, mainly the source of essential fatty acid and the energy fat emulsion solution are available 10%, that means, or 20%. Specifically in the fat form, you have to include some soybean oil, or sunflower oil or cottonseed oil. With the fats mainly present is the triglycerides form. And the ultimate total daily dose of the parenteral lipid emulsion should not exceed 2 gram per kg body weight. 500 ml of 10% of lipids given once or twice a week is enough to prevent the deficiency of essential fatty acids. And fluid 30 to 50 ml per kg fluid is mainly recommended. And during the this parental nutrition, it's very important. You have to check the different parameters of the body, different parameters of the patient also, because it's also very important for us to realize that there are the certain precaution and complication linked with the use of the parental nutrition. That's why you have to check the blood parameters needs daily. You have to check whether the in the patient the sodium level will be increases or the potassium level will be increases. Otherwise, other pathological investigation that parameters will be whether it is increases or decreases. If the parameters will be increase or decrease, it also causes the serious impact of the body. That's why you have to check the different types of blood parameters. And mainly this type of nutritional this TPN formula or the parental nutrition, this type of nutritional support mainly requires the administration within the hospital due to need to use the sterile techniques in handling the catheter and the solution also. And and the risk of the infection is the very greatest worry with this type of nutrition requires catheter. Aseptic sterile techniques must be used at all the time. Sepsis is the very most frequent serious complication during the PN formula, but parenteral nutrition formula. That's why you have to take the proper precaution before administering anything. While you are giving the TPN formula, you have to sterilize yourself. It's very important. What is jejunostomy? Jejunostomy କହିଲେ ଆମେ କଣ ବୁଝିବା? What do you mean by jejunostomy? Today class I already discussed about the jejunostomy. You
Small
don't
intestine.
Peg feeding ରେ jejunostomy.
what you are saying. You said with confident, and you should very clearly you have to say. କିଛି
Ma'am,
clarity.
feeding jejunum.
Which food go through the small intestine?
Small
Intestine.
jejunostomy is the what? Peg feeding, na?
Ma'am,
ମୁଁ ଏବେ
peg
କହିଥିଲି ନା peg feeding is otherwise called as a jejunostomy.
jejunostomy.
Huh?
Yes, ma'am. Peg feeding.
Peg feeding is the way to provide the food through a tube placed into the small intestine. But a tube the small intestine insert କରାଯିବ and through that tube you have to give the nutrition. That is the peg feeding. It is otherwise called as jejunostomy feeding. କ୍ଲାସେସ୍ ରୁ ହିଁ ଅଧା ଜିନିଷ ମନେ ରହିଯିବ। ଯାହା ବି ମୁଁ କହୁଛି ନା ତାକୁ ଟିକେ ଭଲସେ ମନସେ ଧ୍ୟାନରେ ଟିକେ ଶୁଣିବ and ଯଦି ନ ବୁଝିବ again and again you can ask. Yes or no?
Yes, ma'am.
What is enteral nutrition? What do you mean by enteral nutrition? What is parental nutrition? Arpita,
Direct go through the GI. Intestine.
if you are not able to speak in English, you can speak in Odia also. But मते जानिबा दरकार मु जो पढौछि कोन बुझिसंती ना बुझि नांती कि ओडिया रे कोहंतु इंग्लिश रे कोहंतु हिंदी रे कोहंतु जहा रे कोहंतु बट कोहंतु तो एटलीस्ट What is enteral nutrition?
Ma'am, tube feeding is enteral nutrition.
Tube feeding is enteral nutrition. Enteral nutrition mainly, which is mainly provided when the GI tract, means gastrointestinal tract, is working completely or partially. And it can be provided through the nasojejunal route, nasogastric route, or by conducting the gastrostomies also. That is called the enteral nutrition. What is parenteral nutrition? In parenteral nutrition, what we are doing? In the parenteral nutrition is given through the large central veins or the peripheral veins when the gastrointestinal tract is not functioning properly. Yes or no? In the enteral nutrition, your GI tract will be functioning properly and working partially also. But in the parenteral nutrition, the gastrointestinal tract is not functioning properly. It is the major difference between the enteral nutrition and the parenteral nutrition. ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ତ ଆମେ ଏଣ୍ଟରାଲ ନ୍ୟୁଟ୍ରିସନରେ ଆମେ ଯଦି ଆମର ପାର୍ସିଆଲି କାମ କରୁଛି ଜିଆଇ ଟ୍ରାକ୍ଟ ବେଳେ ବେଳେ କମ୍ପ୍ଲିଟଲି ମଧ୍ୟ କାମ କରୁଛି ବୋଲି ତ ଆମେ ନାଜୋଗାଷ୍ଟ୍ରିକ ନୋଜରେ ଗୋଟେ ଟ୍ୟୁବ ଦେଇ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି କିମ୍ବା ଜେଜୁନମରେ ଦେଇ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ତ ଆମର କଣ ହଉଛି ଫୁଡ ପ୍ରପରଲି ଯାଇପାରୁଛି ଟୁ ଦ ଜିଆଇ ଟ୍ରାକ୍ଟ କିନ୍ତୁ ପେରେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ନ୍ୟୁଟ୍ରିସନରେ ଗ୍ୟାଷ୍ଟ୍ରୋଇଣ୍ଟେଷ୍ଟିନାଲ ଟ୍ରାକ୍ଟ ଇଜ ନଟ୍ ଫଙ୍କସନିଂ ପ୍ରପରଲି ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ହିଁ ଆମେ ଗୋଟେ ଲାର୍ଜ ସେଣ୍ଟ୍ରାଲ ଭେନ୍ ପକେଇକି ତାକୁ ଆମେ ଫିଡିଂ ଦଉଛନ୍ତି ଦ୍ୟାଟ୍ ଇଜ କଲ୍ଡ ଏଜ ଦ ପେକ୍ ଫିଡିଂ. Both of you are clear about this?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
Yes ki no? ମୁଁ ତ କିଛି ବୁଝୁନି. ବୁଝି ହଉଛି ନା ନାଇଁ?
Yes,
ଆଜ୍ଞା।
ma'am.
ନିଦ ଆସିଗଲାଣି ବୋଧେ?
No, ma'am.
ହଁ? No.
No.
And this parenteral nutrition means parenteral nutrition is refers to the administration of the nutrition mainly outside the GI tract. That means specifically IV route जो हमें दोचन, that is your intravenous or parenteral nutrition. And in this parenteral nutrition is the method of delivering the nutrient with the help of the catheter directly into the blood stream. Okay. And whereas the enteral nutrition is delivered directly into the stomach or intestine through a feeding tube. Bujhila, what is enteral feeding and what is parenteral feeding?
Yes, ma'am.
Yes, ma'am.
And in the parenteral nutrition is generally supplied when no part of the gastrointestinal tract, particularly small intestine, can be successfully utilized to facilitate the digestion and or the absorption of the food and the nutrient. And this parenteral nutrition is usually given in the very critical ill patient. And those who are having the problem of the any kind of GI disturbance or the burns or the cancer case or atrophy of the small intestine or blockage of the rectum or the colon, surgery of the small or the large intestine or other organs associated with the digestion of the food, and the patient suffering from the multiple complication, that is the diabetic or autonomic neuropathy or kidney failure cases, we will depend for the parenteral nutrition. बुझिएला?
Yes, ma'am.
Now I will discuss about the nutrition during the stress. What type of nutrition we will be recommend during the stress or mentally strained case? Surgery. After the surgery, the physiological response to the surgery and dietary management during the surgery. And in burn case also, classification of the burns and the complication of the burns, dietary management of the burns, mode of feeding and nutrition support, and non-dietary treatment of the burns. In trauma also, physiological response to injury, metabolic response to injury, hormonal response to the injury, dietary management to trauma. In sepsis also, systemic metabolic responses, catabolic responses, dietary management of sepsis with or without MODS. What do you mean by MODS? MODS कौन? What do you mean by sepsis? सेप्सिस कहले कोन बुझिबा आमे सेप्सिस जानि पारु ना सेप्सिस बट सेप्टिक कंडीशन जानि छो ना सेप्टिक कंडीशन
इन्फेक्शन जोटा कि
पूरा बॉडी इन्फेक्शन sepsis that is sepsis and MODS is the multi organ dysfunction syndrome. You remember these words. MODS is your multi organ dysfunction syndrome. Clear?
प्लीज मैम आउ थरे दिए
MODS is multi organ dysfunctional syndrome. ଯେତେବେଳେ ଗୋଟେ critical ill patient if he or she will be stay for a prolonged period in the hospital then in that case ଯେତେବେଳେ डायबिटिक सिवियर ହେଇଥିବ କିମ୍ବା କୌଣସି ପ୍ରକାର କ୍ୟାନ୍ସର हो କିମ୍ବା अदर सीरियस कंडीशन रे धीरे धीरे ग्रेजुअली हमर बॉडी रो जो मेजर ऑर्गन गुडाक जेमति कि फर्स्ट इनिशियली तमर हार्ट खराब होबो आरंभ होबो ग्रेजुअली तुम किडनी भी आ फंक्शन करिबनी प्रॉपर्ली लिवर भी ता काम करि परिबनी लंग्स भी ता काम करिबनी धीरे धीरे दे विल डिक्रीज द एक्टिविटी लेवल एंड दे विल decrease their function then gradually they will be inactive then that is called जेतेबेले गोटे गोटे मेजर ऑर्गन डिस्फंक्शन हे जिवो that is called as multi organ dysfunctional syndrome. Understood?
यस मैम
What is stress response? Stress response, what is stress response? ट्रामा गोटे जानिथिबे जेतले एक्सीडेंट हेउची ट्रामा माडा बाजुची at that time stress shock are very often used interchangeably and encompasses a variety of conditions such as sepsis. Trauma means जदि एक्सीडेंट हैला सिवियरली एक्सीडेंट हैला तो किछ दिन पर देखिबो सेप्सिस हेजिबो इन्फेक्शन हेजिबो एंड बर्न्स हेची किंबा इंजुरी हेची एक्सीडेंट रे किंबा हो वुंड्स रे इंजुरी हेची एंड सर्जरी इलेक्टिव और इमरजेंसी दरकार थिला बेले कोन सर्जरी हेची एट दैट टाइम हमर स्ट्रेस रिस्पांस काम करे. So before we proceed toward the understanding the physical and the metabolic response of the human system toward the stress, it's very important to remember whether the events is in the form of sepsis infection अच्छी की नहीं. Trauma specifically in the burns case रे कि surgery case रे once the systemic response is activated the physiologic and the metabolic changes that follow are similar and may leads to shock also. shock को पढ़ाती ना पेशेंट मैंने सुनी चंदी ना केबे केबे shock को पढ़ी ना चंदी कि देखिबे तो एक्सीडेंट हे गेला ट्रामा केस रे हो किमा गोटे माने कर जने पोड़ी गला जेतोले जी जम बर्न केस से तो देखिथिबो से इंसिडेंट ने तो डर रे भय से उठे shock को पळेबो जे रोड एक्सीडेंट रे जति कि तो ताको इंजुरी हे तो से जो देखि देते ता shock रे पड़ी जिवो shock रे रहि जिवो किछि दिन पर्यंत हॉस्पिटलाइज हे कि रहबो ये सन नो.
Yes, ma'am.
And variable responses mainly relate to the patient age and the previous state of health also depend करे जति तार आगुरु भी किछि सेमति किछि माने हेल्थ रो किछि इश्यूज थिबो एंड प्री एक्जिस्टिंग डिजीज किछि रहिथिबो किबा को टाइप रो इन्फेक्शन पेशेंट रहिथिबो एंड द प्रेजेंस एंड एब्सेंस ऑफ द मल्टीपल ऑर्गन डिस्फंक्शन that is your MODS and it has been that recognized that the physiological response of the patient to stress or the disease process will very largely determine the outcome. Okay, mainly the physiological reserve of the individuals is also very important. Signals that are initiated in the injury or the ischemic tissue communicate the extent of the injury systematically. And the stress responses are necessary for the process of recovery from the injury. बुझिला जदि जो मानकर एनी डिसऑर्डर कंडीशन रे या एनी ट्रामा या एनी इन्फेक्शन केस रे तो हम जते स्ट्रेस नबा तो हमर सेति की प्रोलॉन्ग पीरियड लागिबो हमको ताको ओवरकम करिया पई एंड द चांसेस ऑफ इन्फेक्शन विल बी मोर दैट्स व्हाई हमको जते बड़ कॉम्प्लिकेशन हो जते बड़ प्रॉब्लम हो ना काहे हम सब बळे ताको से स्ट्रेस को पॉजिटिव वे रे नबा या कि हम सेही जिंस ताको इजीली ओवरकम करि पारिबा. अंडरस्टूड?
Yes, ma'am.
यस मैम
And mainly the stress response are necessary for the process of recovery from the injury. And when the trauma is very severe, due to accident both severe age, the resultant physiological response are extensive and sustained, such that the same responses may be detrimental and contribute to the progression to critical illness and even death also. And that stress response means major changes in the metabolism that occurs after severe injury, illness, or the infection, and that the nutrient needs of the body are greatly altered as the result of this response. Okay. And mainly this is accelerated catabolism of the lean body or the skeletal mass, resulting in the muscular wasting and the negative nitrogen balance. नेगेटिव नाइट्रोजन बैलेंस जो आम से जोर से सीवियरली आमर किसी तो कैटाबोलिक स्टेट को जाइए ऑफ द लीन बॉडी और द स्केलेटल मास रिजल्टिंग इन द मस्कुलर बस्टिंग, इट्स वेरी कॉमन, एंड द नेगेटिव नाइट्रोजन बैलेंस. And the metabolism response to the critical ill have been studied in the very critical ill patient, specifically in the trauma or burns or sepsis. And the responses are often grouped into the phase on the basis of their temporal relation to the injury or the insult. Mainly EBB phase. What do you mean by EBB? The stress response is therefore referred to with a dynamic process. जो हमारा stress response रही है dynamic process, and that is in the EBB phase and the flow phase and the anabolic phase. That stress response is mainly the dynamic process. It's mainly the three types phase, depends upon the three types phase. One is your EBB phase, second one is your flow phase, and the last one is your anabolic phase. What is EBB phase? This EBB phase means this type of phase when the accident occurs or the trauma occurs immediately following the injury and last for approximately 24 hours. যেতବେଳେ incident ଗୋଟେ ଘଟୁଛି, ଗୋଟେ accident ଘଟୁଛି, ତାଠୁ 24 ଘଣ୍ଟା ପର୍ଯ୍ୟନ୍ତ phase କୁ ଆମେ କହିବା 24 hours of that period is called as the EBB phase. And the so called EBB phase, which is the early phase of the injury response, and in the EBB phase कौन हुए ना, at that time your blood glucose level will be increases. Suddenly injury hela, suddenly trauma hela, suddenly accident hela, after that your blood glucose level will be increased instantly, immediately, and low insulin concentration, the concentration of the insulin will be decreases, and also there is a increase in the free fatty acid level, and also normal glucose production, and increase the blood lactate level. The lactate level of the blood will be increases after the injury or after the trauma, and increase the level of catecholamines and the glucagon also. Okay, increase the level of catecholamine and the glucagon also, and below the normal cardiac output will be decreases, and the core temperature of the body will be reduces. Okay, this is all about your the EBB phase. After the injury, your blood glucose level will be increases, cardiac output will be decreases, oxygen consumption will be decreased, and also the blood lactate level will be increases, and also increase the catecholamine and the glucagon, and the low insulin concentration, and also the normal glucose production. This is all about your EBB phase. And mainly the EBB phase is dominated by the cardiovascular instability and also alteration in the circulating blood volume. Okay, the blood circulation will be altered, and transportation of the oxygen will be also decreases, and the autonomic activity will be increases, and emergency support of the cardiopulmonary performance is of the paramount therapeutic concern. Shock is the clinical manifestation of the EBB phase. Okay, and after effective this resu after this effective resuscitation has been accomplished and the restoration of the satisfactory oxygen transport, this is all about your EBB phase. And after the EBB phase, the next phase is your stress, that flow phase. In this flow phase, what will happen? Mainly during the flow phase, this is the very neuroendocrine response. Neuroendocrine response to the physiological stress, and it's after the EBB phase. This phase is mainly characterized by the normal or slightly elevated blood glucose level. Blood glucose level will be increases and increase the glucose production also, and normal or slightly elevated the free fatty acids level and the flux increased also. Normal or elevated the insulin concentration. The insulin concentration will be increases and increase the level of catecholamine and elevated the glucagon level also. And normal blood lactate level. In that case, in the EB phase, the lactate level will be increases, and here the oxygen consumption will be increases and increase the cardiac output, also increase the core temperature. This is all about your flow phase. In this flow phase, now this is the characterized by hypermetabolism and the catabolism also, and the cardiac output will be increases, and in the urine also nitrogen losses will be there. Oxygen consumption, body temperature, energy expenditures are also increased during this phase. Your the body temperature in this flow phase, the temperature of the body will be increased and oxygen consumption of the body will be increased, and there are also profound hormonal changes. There is a breakdown of body protein stores to provide the glucose and hence a rapid loss of nitrogen in the urine. Okay, it's very common in the flow phase. The rapid loss of nitrogen in the urine and the blood flow to the gastrointestinal tract is often reduced during this phase. Okay, and this decreases the supply of oxygen and the nutrient to the gastrointestinal tract. And this during this flow phase, now the secretion of the mucus is also reduced, and the gastric acid secretion is also increased, and this leads to the wasting of the cells lining in the gastrointestinal tract, resulting in the diarrhea and the bloating during this phase. Now, during the flow phase, due to the increase of this due to the increase of gastric secretion is increased, and there is also the secretion of mucus is decreased, and the secretion of the gastric acid will be increased. Due to this only, wasting of the cells lining of the gastrointestinal tract, ଯେତେବେଳେ acid secretion ଅଧିକା ହେଉଛି but mucus secretion ଟା during the flow phase କମି ଯାଉଛି, ଯେତେବେଳେ mucus secretion କମିଯିବ, acid secretion ବଢିଯିବ, obviously it will affect the gastrointestinal mucosal layer. जो GI tract और mucosal layer ରହିଛି ତାକୁ ମଧ୍ୟ ସେ wasting କରିବ, ନଷ୍ଟ କରିବା ଆରମ୍ଭ କରିବ, and resulting in the due to that only, ତାପରେ ଯେତେବେଳେ ଆମେ ଖାଦ୍ୟ ଖାଇବା, ଯେହେତୁ acid secretion ବଢୁଥିବ, it will causes the bloating. Properly ଖାଦ୍ୟ digestion ହେଇପାରିବ ନାହିଁ because mucus is not there, and diarrhea is a very common symptoms. What is anabolic phase? Anabolic phase ମାନେ କ'ଣ ବୁଝିବା? Anabolic phase is the last phase of stress. First one is the EB phase, second one is flow phase, last one is your anabolic phase. In this anabolic phase, now when wounds are closed and the infection is resolved, repletion of the lean tissue and fat stores along with the restoration of the strength and the stamina can begins. At that time, the restoration and the strength and the stamina will be begins. And during the anabolic stage phase now begins near the time of the hospital discharge. At that time, your anabolic phase will be start, and that they may persist for the month or before the patient fully recovers, and mainly characterized by the building of the body tissue and the nutrient store also. And this phase is also marked by the hormonal changes. ଯେତେବେଳେ anabolic phase change ଆସିଯାଏ, in that case na your hormonal changes will be takes place, increase in the release of insulin and the growth hormone. Anabolic phase asigala mane insulin secretion will be increases and your growth hormone secretion will be increases, and the patient progress to the anabolic phase, and it's very important, depends on the number of factors also. And because ए सब जिनसे डिपेंड करे हमको स्पेसिफिकली एज जति हमर ओल्ड एज रे थिबा ताले सेमानकर तो एते हार्मोन सिक्रेशन हबो ना इंसुलिन सिक्रेशन इंक्रीज हबो, बिल्कुल नाही. ड्यू टू द एज फैक्टर लगी से सब जिनसोडा कमी जो, दैट्स व्हाई टोटल द एनाबोलिक फेज विल बी डिपेंड अपॉन द एज, सिवियरिटी ऑफ द पेशेंट, ड्यूरेशन ऑफ द स्ट्रेस, केते दिन गोटे पेशेंट स्ट्रेस रे रहला, as well as the individual's prior nutrition status influence the tissue growth and the anabolism. Totally, it's depend upon the proper nutrition also. And restores the body mass and nutritionally status rapidly may induce the adverse metabolic consequence. Surgery, in surgery also, what happened, surgery is that branch of medical science which is for its object the cure of the local injury or cure of the local disease as the wound or the fracture or the trauma. एक केस से तो हमें सर्जरी करो ना. A surgery can be done by the manually or the operation or by the medicine along with the constitutional treatment also. Surgical procedure may be conducted in response to the sudden injury or trauma or okay. And mainly this is referred to emergency surgery during which the patient is in a variable state of resuccination, and the objective of this treatment is to preserve as many organs and bodily function as possible with the minimum further trauma. Setmeant of elective surgery करते हैं. Elective surgery or the bypass surgery of the heart or the removal of the organs or the limb amputation भी करता हूँ. जेमती कि laparoscopic surgery are very common examples of the elective surgery. Okay. And the difference between the elective and the emergency surgery lies in the there is a major difference between the elective surgery and the emergency surgery. Uh, in the patient of the injury and the control homeostasis stress response in the elective surgical patients, while this is not possible in the traumatized patients. Okay, what is the physical response to the surgery? Physical response माने कौन? Now, in specifically advance in the medicine and the nutritional support have greatly reduced the morbidity and the mortality associated with the surgery. If the patient will be take the proper, well balanced nutrition, in that case, now the mortality and the morbidity rate will be decreases, and the debility mainly commonly accompanied surgical illness. It occurs in the varied degree after elective and the emergency operation and other critical illness also. Mhm. And all surgical patients is there having the some pains, and the pains usually occurs in association with the incision माने जो कटा ହେଇଥିବ, जोटा wound କ୍ଷତ ହେଇଥିବ, or with a wound resulting from the fracture हो, burns हो, contusion is the हानिबा, जो गोटे लोक को हानि दउछन, the medical term of that हानिबा होची contusion, or any other parts of the injury, mainly in addition to the creating and the unpleasant subjective experience. Pain often limits physical activity such as the turning in bed and deep breathing, also coughing and walking, and directly interfere with the recovery also. Elevation of the body temperature above the normal. Mainly after surgery, the leukocytosis are often the signs of the inflammations are common features of the clinical surgical illness. Okay, leukocytosis. Leukocytosis means increase the level of leukocyte in the blood level. That is the leukocytosis due to the infection. Okay, and mainly the patient with the major bones case, an extreme example of critical surgical illness. In that case, burn case रे जो critical illness ହେଇଥିବ, the body temperature बहुत बढ़िଯାଏ, more than 102 degree Fahrenheit पर्यंत बढ़िଯାଏ. In that case also ଯେତେବେଳେ burn ପରେ ଯେହେତୁ leukocyte ଟା बढ़िଯାଏ, due to that only any kind of burn case ରେ ଦେଖିବ leukocyte count will be typically elevated. And देखिबो जदि ଆମେ देखिबा टेस्ट पैथोलॉजिकल इन्वेस्टिगेशन करिबा त ल्यूकोसाइट रेट विल बी हाईली इंक्रीज, सेटु तमे जानि परिबो जे पेशेंट केते इन्फेक्शन अछि. And for the management of all these disorder, na food is a very commonly withheld from the patient before and during various diagnostic and the therapeutic procedure. Okay, जदि हमर कौन से सर्जरी हेबार अछि तो सर्जरी बिफोर दैट सर्जरी हो कि आफ्टर दैट सर्जरी फूड प्लेस मीन्स द डाइट प्ले ए मेजर रोल फॉर द मैनेजमेंट ऑफ द each and every kind of disorder. That's why ସେଇଥିପାଇଁ ତ ଆମେ ଏବେ ବହୁତ ସମସ୍ତେ ଆଜିକାଲି ଫୁଡ ସାଇନ୍ସ କୁ ଏତେ ପ୍ରାୟୋରିଟି ଦେଇକି ଆଜି ସବୁଠି ଦେଖିବେ ଫୁଡ ସାଇନ୍ସ କୁ ଏତେ ପ୍ରାୟୋରିଟି ଦିଆଯାଉଛି ଯଦି ଫୁଡ ର ରୋଲ ସେମିତି କିଛି ନଥାନ୍ତା ତାହେଲେ ସର୍ଜରୀ ସହିତ ହଉ କିମ୍ବା ଅଦର ରୋଗକୁ ନେଇକି ତାହେଲେ ଲୋକମାନେ ଆଉ ଫୁଡ କୁ ଏତେ ପ୍ରାୟୋରିଟି ଦେଇନଥାନ୍ତେ ସେଥିପାଇଁ ଆପଣ ଦେଖିଥିବେ ଏନି ସର୍ଜରୀ ପୂର୍ବରୁ ବିଫୋର ଦ ସର୍ଜରୀ ଦ ପେସେଣ୍ଟ ଇଜ kept नील पर ओरल ओके एनपीओ में एनपीओ तो से को रखा जाए जो एनपीओ होची नील पर ओरल that means before surgery the last 6 hours the patient will be not take anything orally that is called as the NPO and this restriction in the diet before operation appears to be well tolerated by the patient okay and if the food deprivation is prolonged na the complication of the starvation will compound the effect of the critical surgical illness that's why in general recommended the total starvation should usually be limited to a periods no longer 6 to 7 hours बुझिएला जहाँ जहाँ पढ़ेले अछि
yes ma'am
बुझिए ओके जहाँ पढ़ेले अपन मटेरियल्स आसला परे पढ़िबे बिकॉज जदि अपन इन फ्यूचर जदि प्रैक्टिकली हॉस्पिटल रे जॉब करिवे तो ए सब जिंसडा निहाती दरकार ओके तो एग्जाम पॉइंट ऑफ व्यू रू भी ओडा वेरी इंपोर्टेंट थाए तो टिके टिके पढ़िबे निहाती रूपे ओके किछि कारो डाउट अछि ना पढ़िले डाउट बाहले पचारिबे ओके जिते बड़े भी जहाँ पढ़िबे जहाँ भी डाउट रहला यू कैन आस्क मी फ्रीली ओके बुझी परछन